Triforce.
Oh, a whisper in the. It's like something out of Twin Peaks. You just been to the diner, and then you're walking home along the side of the road, and there's like the great pine trees of the Northwest, and it's all quiet, and then you could just hear a whisper through the trees. Triforce.
Just run. Just start running and never look back.
And then that's when you got to do the Laura
It's like
Palmer
a horror movie.
Yeah, the scream.
You're being chased.
Yes.
You can hear like a heartbeat.
I'm sure we've spoken about this before.
Well, the thing is,
I want to tell you about the toilet story.
The problem with that is just leading into
and then just like really umming,
We should do an episode, a supercut episode that's just us saying, but cut it to sound like a conversation.
or like cut the different. If you do a supercut of all the ums and you get like all the tones and stuff, maybe with a bit of auto tuning, we could do an album of just ums. You know, it could be like that, like Mongolian throat singing, except that it's it'll be like us three,
except it'll be bad
to some of the greatest hits known to man.
I do like I do like the Who.
The Who.
They're like this Mongolian folk rock band who have the Mongolian throat singing.
The Who are not a Mongolian folk band.
Well, it's the Who with the HU, not the Who.
Yeah.
The Who.
Not the Who. It's
the Who. Right.
The Who.
Yes, that might be a bit old now. I don't know. My taste in music, I think it's like I get like this idea of this is cool and new, and then I find out it's like actually like 10 years old now. It quickly happens to us, you know.
Nice.
We try and catch up. You know, how do you feel about your dad picking up something new that sort of shouldn't really, you know, like my mum being on TikTok or like, you know, things like this. Like it's just that feels weird. It feels wrong. Somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. My parents, the last time they picked up something new was probably Facebook, which, you know, years ago or whatever, and they haven't really touched anything else since. They just like to go on Facebook and share casserole recipes and do whatever it is that they do on there. You know, I don't think they're doing anything crazy. You know, like I don't think they're like, you know, chiming in with like, you know, like people that are spewing out like hate speech or anything like that. Like I think they're part of like a couple of like enthusiast clubs. Like I think my dad's part of like a World War II enthusiast club sort of thing.
Well, I thought you were going to say like swinging.
Where they share pictures of like, you know, trips they've taken to go see the Normandy landing beaches and stuff like that.
We've talked about this before, sure. There's this thing that happens where when you have kids, you're like, you shouldn't be looking at that, and then eventually it switches over and you tell your parents you shouldn't be looking at that.
You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah.
you should be on that all the time.
Yeah.
And World War II is one of those things that is, you have to reach a certain age to become interested in it, I think. You know, it just wasn't interesting me when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I preferred fantasy universes and space and, you know, everything else. You know, no teenage boy or girl is enjoying their young adult World War II fanfic or whatever.
I used to really like Mad Magazine. I don't know if you guys ever read Mad Magazine.
Big into that.
I really liked...
but don't you remember when you were reading it as a kid? It was a bit like, and I think The Simpsons definitely was inspired a lot by Mad Magazine. They reference it constantly in the show, in the first 10 seasons anyway.
Yeah.
And then when it was written by a bunch of old funny people instead of young unfunny people. Sorry, modern Simpsons fans, but that's a whole different conversation, I guess. I used to read it, and a lot of the references would go right over my head.
Yes.
And the same as, like, The Simpsons did the same thing, where they reference things from way back that just made no sense to the young people watching The Simpsons. And even now, some of the original Simpsons episodes were super old. It's like 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the references then were old as fuck.
Well, I remember, I've said this before, I'm sure, but when I used to go to the video shop and rent something, they would usually give you a free Simpsons VHS with it, right? Whenever you rented whatever you were renting.
Wow.
And so I ended up watching all the early seasons of The Simpsons as a kid. And I remember not really finding it funny, but my parents laughing a lot, which is kind of weird. because I think they were almost like, oh, we'll get this for you, knowing that they would actually probably enjoy it more than
Well, it's
were.
funny
My mum
because
always hated that show. She never gave it a chance.
Really?
And I'm like, do you have any idea how good the good Simpsons episodes are? Like, they're mind-bendingly good. And she was like, no, load of rubbish. I was like, God damn.
It was a cartoon that was on kind of at night though, right? Which was, at the time was not very commonplace, Like
it was prime time. It was a prime time show.
It was on at like 8 p.m., and it was also a cartoon.
I'd like to just say something because I realize people are going to think that there's some deep irony in me saying that my mum doesn't give things a chance. And I know that anime fans out there are currently rubbing their hands in glee and preparing to tweet. I mean, Pyrion, how rich. How rich. I have watched anime. I haven't watched every anime, but I have watched anime. My opinion stands.
I think it's easier than ever these days to watch anime. Like my kids watch a lot of Netflix. All they seem to watch is anime.
Same.
There's just tons of it on there.
It's cartoons. It's just cartoons. That's all it is.
It is just cartoons. Yeah.
Have you seen the Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix anthology thing? It's
I watched the first series. And
it's
some
so
of
hit
it's
and miss.
Okay, some of it
it's
like
awful. The most hit and miss show you've ever seen because
my son really likes that Avatar one, The Last Airbender. With the little bald kid.
Great series. Yeah,
the name just makes me laugh. The Last Airbender.
I know it's such a weird fucking show. And then there's I think there's like some other series like beyond that, like in the same universe, but it's like the story's moved on a bit. Like there's one called like Cassandra or something. I don't know. It's like some
Legends of Korra or something.
Oh that might be it. Yeah, it's like a girl, but she's like the great granddaughter of like the bald kid or something. I don't know. He was trying to explain it to me the other day, and it seemed like kind of interesting, but he has it on in the background, so like I watch it from time to time, especially like if I'm just like rocking the baby off to sleep or whatever, and it's not too bad, like I don't mind if it's on because like I can just, if I'm just sitting there doing nothing, I have at least something to watch, and it's not like as tedious as like like CBeebies or something like that, you know what I mean? Like at least
again, Avatar is like relatively some animes are on episode 9,000.
Yes,
like one.
I noticed there's lots and lots of episodes of it for sure.
And Avatar, I think, is this thing that was 3 seasons, maybe 4. I can't remember. And it's well rated. And I think I've watched it a long time ago because it's old now, but I remember really enjoying it at the time, and it not being like it not having necessarily been like a children's anime, but certainly being like it was just good. It was just emotional.
It feels a little offbeat, doesn't it? Because it's a cartoon, but it's not really like a traditional kids cartoon, if you like, like if you the stuff that they would watch on like I don't know, like Nickelodeon or whatever, like they watch some of that stuff, they watch like Teen Titans and was this like the Loud House or something? It's like a big house full of kids.
It's one of these. I think it's one of these. There's this magazine in Japan called Weekly Shonen Jump, which has been going for a very long time, and it's the sort of one of these. It's a classic kind of young teen male anime, manga, obviously, sort of magazine where it kind of takes a mix of popular things that are going, and this is where a lot of things like Naruto and I think probably even like Bleach, I don't know, a lot of things got their start. Dragon Ball Z came out of it, loads of things have kind of, it's a strange thing to think of it as this kind of teen comic. I guess it's just very aimed at that group, and it is young adult but it's young adult male as opposed to kind of young adult female, which I guess is more things like Divergent and Maze Runner and Hunger Games and that kind of oeuvre,
I was interested. I've never read or watched Hunger Games, like because I when it came out I just figured like this is just,
it's for kids,
probably it's not for me, it's like a teen thing or whatever.
I mean, I think it is young adult,
but after reading Red Rising I was interested like in that sort of because like a lot of Red Rising, especially like I guess it's the first book, I think, or is it the second book in the first trilogy?
Is pretty teeny.
They have that really big Hunger Games-esque.
That's the first book, yeah.
Bit, right? And I kind of liked the whole thing around it. I think I was playing a lot of battle royales at the time as well, it was like, I don't know, I just wanted to consume more media like around that sort of thing, but I still never took the plunge.
It's difficult, really, because I guess we don't. we don't have very good like categorizations of where that fits in, right?
Yeah.
It definitely fits into the sort of, Ender's Game, but also Hunger Games-y worlds, right? But definitely feels a little bit older. But it's hard to know when they're on the shelf, like where they're going to fit and where they're going to land. And sometimes they're still a good read, even if they skew younger or older or whatever for certain groups. But it's like, I guess it depends how what you're looking for. I think it's a tricky. I'm just almost like, I'm not worried for you picking things for your kids to read, but I can understand. But we read stuff when we were young. It was way too old for us, probably.
Well, coming back to what I was saying originally, Mad Magazine is something I used to read a lot when I was young. And it just made me think. I remember drawing. Do you remember Spy versus Spy? That was really good. The comic.
They brought out a game. Spy versus Spy, the computer game.
What, recently?
No, this was years ago. And it was.
I remember there was an NES game, a Spy versus Spy.
But it was
NES
a split-screen player versus player game, and you had to go around in this environment and set traps for the other spy. And it was really, really good. Like it
good
seemed...
Lord, 1984.
Yeah, it was a banger.
Is this what we're talking about?
Let me look it up.
Or there's a PS2 game.
No. This is Spy versus Spy 1984 video game. So if you look at it was genuinely really good. I mean, it was split screen, so you could both play it at the same time, and you were against each other. You had all these traps. You could set bombs. You had to wallop each other and stuff. It was great.
It might be like similar to the. I'm sure there was an NES game, but man, I used to love drawing like the little spies, like with the like the big cartoon bombs and guns and stuff. We used to draw them like all the time at school. And another one that we really liked was Captain Klutz. You remember him? He had like he had like a mask, but it was I can't remember the artist's name, but he basically like everybody looked like Gonzo. They had these big fucking like weird.
Oh, Captain Klutz. Yeah, no, I remember him.
Yeah. He used to wear like underpants, and he had like the big goofy shoes, and like he had the mask with like little wings on it and stuff. I used to draw him all the time as well. I don't know. It was just such an odd magazine, but there was so many things that I remember from it, and I remember loving it. I used to love the back of the page, the back of the magazine. Remember, you could fold it, and like if you folded like the big picture, it would always make the Alfred E. Newman's face out of the picture.
Was all over it. I never knew if he was real or what the deal was.
So
I don't know.
Ringo Phone Bone is his name. He is a helplessly inept man, utterly absorbed in reading comic books to the point that he was kicked out of his parents' house. Hang on a sec. This was written in 1967.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comics back in the day were seen as like they were. There was the same sort of panic about comics that there was subsequently about video games, and that there is now about TikTok and phones. Parents saying, "Oh my God, it's corrupting our youth." It's always been there. Something has been corrupting the youth, and
he
it used
was
to be comics.
A parody of superhero characters, like before.
He was the original Deadpool.
yeah. Attempted to commit suicide by hanging himself. He was so inept that he broke the towel that he used and inadvertently became wrapped around his head, giving him a mask. Which was he got a mask that was originally a woman's hat being thrown away. He crash landed in the middle of a robbery in Long John's and distracted the robber long enough for the police to capture him. So there he became this superhero. He did not lead a luxurious life, being reduced to homelessness at various times.
Yeah.
In one adventure, my new airy apartment turned out to be a park bench. he hoped to create an invention that would give him super speed so he could get a job delivering pizza.
Nice. I mean, it was a weird comic for sure. I mean, a lot of Mad Magazine was really odd, but
like the main feature every week. This is going back. I haven't read a copy of Mad in a long time.
No,
but they still published it either until recently or they still make it. I can't remember, but I remember seeing it when I went to the States. It would be in the newsagents and stuff like that. And they would parody something that was popular that week. So when Star Trek The Next Generation came out, they had a Star Trek The Next Generation episode of Mad Magazine where they parody it and they have a stupid crew and they do all stupid things. And it was like a satire of whatever was popular right then and there. And then you'd have all your regular features and they'd be taking the mickey out of politicians and stuff like that. But it was kind of like a comic mixed with the funny stuff from Private Eye. So it never did any investigative stuff, but there would be like wordy stuff in there that was like making fun of whoever was famous, you know. I'm sure that an awful lot of comedians and comedy writers, I should say, started off in something like Mad Magazine, the way a lot of people started off with The Onion. A lot of comedy writers started off with The Onion and then moved on to writing for things like Jon Stewart and all the rest of it. Those kind of things are a hotbed for young writers to get a start and have their work critiqued by other funny, clever people, which is, I think, the key.
I hate that phrase.
I think they're still making them by the looks of it.
Is it an online thing now?
No, I mean, I think it's... I think
an American magazines. Oh, final issue, April 2018 of the original magazine.
But I think they're back though. I think there's more coming out. It looks like there's been some new ones recently. And the guy who did Captain Klutz, Mort Drucker, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He died in 2020, but he was born in 1929. Holy crap. It's a long time ago.
It's a kind of jobbing comedy writer thing, you know, because you have these deadlines for the next episode. You know, you have to come up with something to satirize the events of the day, you know, and you've got this group of people usually hanging out together, taking the piss out of stuff and just coming up with ideas. So it's really like, it's kind of enforced creativity.
It looks like it's all owned by DC now. DC Comics.
Oh, well, you'd expect them to just
own it,
you know. Suck up everything, wouldn't you? One or the other. Well, there'll be a movie soon.
Probably, yeah, and a TV series and whatever else.
Have you guys ever heard of...
Was Mad TV based on Mad Magazine? I seem to remember there being.
It was 2 A's in Mad TV, wasn't it?
Wasn't there some crossover there or something? Or maybe
no. So Mad TV is a sketch show originally inspired by Mad Magazine. So there you go.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Mad City by Kendrick.
No. Mad TV. That was like it was like a Saturday Night Live.
It was,
sketch comedy.
But it was somehow worse. But it did have some pretty good cast members.
Man, it had some moments. They had. Do you remember the skit Stewart, the grown man who's like playing as like a child, and like he would go to like the doctor or whatever, and he just, it was very sort of like physical comedy, you know, like he would do like the sort of mannerisms of a child, but the guy was like 6'4", like a fully grown man. But
was that Will Sasso? Will Sasso was really funny. I always felt that.
I don't know if it was Will Sasso.
Will Sasso was like a big bold dude who was really funny. When Vine was popular, he was really, really funny on Vine. And then I haven't heard of him since. It's a shame. He's one of those people that sort of their career, the show they were on died and they never got onto anything else. Like, so it's just like, that's it for Will Sasso. And I mean, he may be doing great. I'm just saying I haven't heard of him.
Yeah. If you've never seen Stewart on Mad TV, I mean, some of it's kind of funny or whatever. It's like, it's probably like a bit of a chuckle, and it's such an odd reference. When I was watching some of like the Jubilee coverage over the weekend, and fucking Cliff Richard was on TV and they were interviewing about something, and he looks exactly like fucking Stewart from Mad TV, like complete with the he's got fucking blusher on and shit. Like, it's unbelievable.
Who's still into fucking Cliff Richard? Like, seriously, why do we trot him out for things like he's still this national treasure?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Go have a fucking lie down. Just sleep the rest of the days away. Come on, Cliff.
He can't stop. He's just, you know, he's got that razzle dazzle, quality about him. He's got to get out there. He's got to be in front of people. You know, he's not just going to sit somewhere and have a nap or whatever. No, not Cliff.
Drives me mad. Cliff fucking Richard.
He's a thing. He does look like a fucking walking scarecrow, doesn't he?
He does a little bit. Yeah, he does. He looks like he does look like the scarecrow from Wizard of Oz now too. It's fucking weird, isn't it? I don't know.
It is weird.
It's pretty funny.
Like people that we have such weird references and points, and it's only going to get worse, right? When the listeners.
Well, maybe
up,
we should
right?
start writing for The Simpsons, and they could come full circle. We can.
Oh my god!
Inject the show with all of our old ass weird
Super
fucking references that nobody gets. Yeah,
and then in 30 years' time, or God, might be even longer than that. Simpsons has been going. People will be watching it and not getting it, and chatting about it on their podcast.
Absolutely,
we can keep that wheel,
keep that wheel turning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh.
Wheel of Time.
I started
stuff.
watching. I started watching that that show that's by the guy who did The Wire. The team that did The Wire. We Own This City.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's called.
Yeah,
I started
really wanna
watching it.
see that.
It seems pretty good so far. It's in Baltimore. It's based in Baltimore, and
Yeah.
about it's seems to be very much about like police brutality and stuff, which I guess is
Yeah,
like,
no, I think it's more about dickhead cops this time.
yes, like really
specifically.
corrupt ones.
I mean,
yeah.
The Wire definitely had a lot of corrupt officials in it, but this is really a bunch of bad coppers running rogue in Baltimore. But yeah, I can't say anything about it. I haven't watched it, but I did watch Julia, which is sort of biopic series of Julia Child, who was a chef in America in the 60s.
Oh wow.
And beyond. And she was 6'2". She had a very peculiar way of speaking, where it was an American accent that kind of sounded British, and she
Like
spoke
a bit
about,
like Fraser Crane.
Yes, she was rather like Fraser Crane, that transatlantic accent. She spoke about the French cuisine. Bon appetit.
It's weird when you
like
watch watch footage of like people like people doing like say like a press conference or whatever, like Americans in like say like the 50s or the 60s, their accents were far different than they are now, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, they really are very different now. I find,
they almost sound a little bit I wouldn't say like British, but you know, like they don't sound as sort of twangy as they've become, right? Like they like that sort of general that general American accent.
I'd like you to bear something in mind, which is that I wonder if the Americans did the same thing that we did, where regional accents were basically not something you heard that much, certainly not on British television for some time. Everybody spoke with the received pronunciation and was like, welcome, children, to the television program, and we're now going to enjoy Humpty Dumpty. You know, it was like that.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it was like, why don't we have people that actually sound like they're from the rest of Britain as well on TV? And now you're lucky that everyone on TV is not Northern. Every advert is certainly a Northerner. Apparently, people trust a Yorkshire accent more than any other accent. That's the most trustworthy accent that you can have in an advert is Yorkshire, which is why people like Sean Bean and all those other people with Yorkshire accents are in every commercial going. If you need a new credit card, they could do a lot worse than this one, I tell you.
That's like the guy. It's like the SAS narrator guy, right? Like it's that
well, that's
accent.
the estuary English.
And
that's the other
tone
sort of version, isn't it? That's kind of there was a time when the Prime Minister sort of shifted from speaking that received pronunciation to this idea of estuary English, which is like the London English, but not. It's kind of a gentler version, and it sounds
awful though. Estuary English just sounds like sewer English to me. Like that, it doesn't sound good. The name is bad. I mean, received pronunciation sounds wank as well. Like I think basically people got sick of all that shit and just said, can people just speak with their normal accent and get on with it? Like that's fine. I think the public started to not give a shit about television. Basically became so many channels that why would you stuff them all in and say everybody has to sound a certain way? I think there was a kind of liberating thing once television got out under just the control of the BBC, which was very much about, you know, the establishment and everything like that. And now you had all these other channels, especially channels like ITV and Channel 4, which and then Channel 5, they would just get anybody on. Like it doesn't matter what your fucking accent is or your background. So it kind of opened it up. And I don't know if America went through a similar thing where
ITV
accents
especially,
were more...
fuck me, they will just get anyone on. It's just the fucking worst.
It's pretty bad.
This is, I don't know. I know what you mean, though. She's got such Hyacinth Bouquet vibes, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has.
Julia Child. And yeah, I don't know. There was this time of this transatlantic accent. It was certainly a big deal. I think it was some of these early film stars sort of popularized it as well, though. Because people like, was it Clark Gable? Who was sort of a big... Well, no, who was the guy? Cary Grant. Was Cary Grant born in Bristol? Yeah, he was. So Cary Grant was this huge film star, obviously British guy, but became, moved to America quite young, became a big star. And he sort of was this really, really obvious accent that was neither English or American, but became appealing to both at a time when Britain and America was still, very almost like vying for the superpower status, in that sort of early, wartime kind of
pre-Suez Crisis.
Yeah, type.
You're talking about Cary Grant as an agent of sort of international diplomacy.
In a strange way. I think there were those film stars at the time. There was I don't know. It's my nan's generation of film stars, the Humphrey Bogart and
he was. Honestly, Cary Grant was great though, and I've tried for a very long time to perfect a Cary Grant impression.
I don't know.
But what's the point? Because he's such an old impression. It's like I really want to nail my Charlie Chaplin. It's like
yeah. I know of Cary Grant, but I can't place him.
Cary Grant sounds
I think
like,
I know what he looks like, but I don't know.
He has a strange voice. So he talks like it's a American, but also with this strange Atlantic twang to it. It's impossible to do. You'd have to spend so long perfecting. Listen to Cary Grant's voice.
What is his biggest movie like that he's like most known for?
I'd say North by Northwest is probably the film that you would think straight away Cary Grant, because it's such a. I mean, it's a Hitchcock movie. It's a great movie. He is absolutely brilliant in it. I think that he was the first, and I'm sure someone will correct me on this, but I think he was the first movie star who could be the handsome leading man, because he was incredibly handsome, very dashing and charming. He could play a cad.
He was very James Bond-esque.
Yes,
because he had that British allure, but without being up himself.
He sounds a bit like me. I should check him out, actually.
But he was also very funny, and I think that he was the first leading man who was happy to play the clown as well and be the object of fun.
Right.
And it made him even more likable. I think if you have the confidence to be laughed at or to be the butt of a joke for a scene, all it makes people think is you're more relatable. And Jimmy Stewart never had the dashingly handsome leading man thing. He was the everyman. And
Jimmy Stewart was the Christmas Miracle on 34th Street.
Jimmy Stewart.
Right?
Yeah, that was Jimmy Stewart. So he had more of an amount.
Those kids are out there.
The kids are outside. They're throwing doo-doo nappies at us, honey. The doo-doo nappies. It's like weird American old school phrase. He played these.
Well, he's the one who flew over the cuckoo's nest, isn't he? And
who?
You're
thinking of Jack Nicholson.
You're thinking of Jack Nicholson.
They locked me in the mental asylum, honey. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a rebel without a cause. You're thinking of Jack Nicholson, Jack Nicholson.
What am I thinking of? The movie where he plays the lawyer, really famous.
That was he was the lawyer in Boo Radley's.
What the hell was it called?
What the fuck is the name of that?
It's not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No. Why can't I think of it though?
No, me neither. I can't think of it either. We all know it.
It's the Boo Radley book, right?
Yes, people are screaming at us right now. I apologize, listeners. We're
trying.
No, don't Google it. Don't Google it. Do not Google it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's on the tip of mine as well.
Is it Mockingbird?
Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Well, I thought it was one. That's why I said to Cook, I was like, it was one of those birds.
It's a bird, yeah.
I kept thinking of Mice and Men for some reason.
But that's not Cary Grant, I don't think.
No, that was Jimmy Stewart, I think it was. James Stewart, wasn't it? He played the lawyer in To Kill a Mockingbird?
No, it's Gregory Peck.
Come on.
Oh.
Mrs. F is shouting from the next room, "It's not Jimmy Stewart!" She's shouting.
Wow. Well, I got that. So this is how we're particularly ignorant on this subject, it turns out.
I was sure that it was, though. I remember him being in a courtroom setting, and I was sure it was the Boo Radley one.
No. So Jim Stewart was in it. He was in a very famous courthouse movie. I'll look it up for you. Hold on. I mean, I've seen all of these. I just can't remember. I haven't watched them all that often.
Okay, she is right. Well,
of course she's right. It's Mrs. F. She's always right.
Holy crap.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He was in that. That's quite a famous
I love
movie.
Some of these black and white movies. I went through this spate of watching loads of them a few years back, like Rear Window and the Hitchcock stuff. And 12 Angry Men is the one I talked about with you before that I really enjoyed.
That's a great movie, yeah.
Which is a great movie.
Doesn't have like Jack Lemmon in it, and what's that other guy? It was Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau.
That's The Odd Couple.
Those were the pair. That was the big pairing of the time, right? But weren't they both in 12 Angry Men?
Walter Matthau.
No, I don't think either of them was in 12 Angry Men. Actually, maybe Walter Matthau was in 12 Angry Men, but I'm pretty sure it was just. It was just Henry
Fonda. It was around
Fonda.
his time, but he wasn't in it.
No, it was Jack Klugman. So Jack Klugman, interesting fact here, I say interesting, for me, so Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon made the Odd Couple movie, right? The fna, that scene in the Odd Couple movie. My sinuses are blocked.
I don't remember that.
So it's a great scene. He's in a restaurant and his sinuses are blocked, and he's doing that
like
that
I
over and over again.
Now, yeah.
Very funny. So that was the Odd Couple movie.
They're the original bromance, aren't they? Those two.
No, they hated each other. That was the whole point.
But that's the point. They're like mates who
they kind of needed each other in a way. But then they made it as a TV series. The Odd Couple, which I loved as a kid. Anyone that grew up in the States in the 70s or 80s will remember the Odd Couple show. It starts off with the Felix Unger character picking up a cigar with his umbrella tip, and the music is da 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 da. Jack Klugman, who was one of the jurors in 12 Angry Men, played Walter Matthau's character in the Odd Couple TV show.
That's where the confusion is setting in for me, because I remember growing up in North America in the 80s, and we had on TV all the time a lot of those old ass TV shows, right? Like. They would play them during the day.
Oscar Madison
they were just big filler shows.
Well, it was the same here, right? Like the BBC and ITV, they didn't have that much budget, and they wanted to get them as cheap as possible. So it was these movies that were on a lot.
You
and
always
still
had
are,
like the Addams Family, the Munsters, Gilligan's Island, all those old ass shows.
All those things used to get shown over here in the 80s.
Rawhide, remember Rawhide?
Yeah,
I used to show that all the time.
What was the one set on a ranch? Bonanza. That was where it seemed to go on forever.
Oh, maybe I was thinking of Bonanza, actually.
This is the old daytime TV shit that we used to get. And it was obviously 10 or 12 years old by the time.
No, it was much older than that.
Was it?
Yeah. So The Odd Couple finished in 1975, and I was watching it in the 80s when I was a kid. You know, it was seriously deep into no. This was early 80s. I watched it in the States.
What was the show? The I Dream of Jeannie or whatever? The one where
Bewitched.
Was that Bewitched?
Yeah.
Wasn't there one called I Dream?
Oh, there was I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, but I think that was
that was on a lot as well. I remember Bewitched was on.
But I Dream of Jeannie was like. I suppose it was almost like a copy of Bewitched, wasn't it?
It was very, very
American
similar.
fantasy sitcom. So where he has starring Barbara Eden as a sultry 2,000-year-old genie, and Larry Hagman, who was J.R. Ewing in Dallas, was an astronaut. With him, she falls in love and eventually marries.
Fucking Dallas.
It was really interesting because all these American shows were being exported all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of fairly arbitrary who bought what and when and how they showed it. And so what you get is these like odd little kind of forgotten sometimes American shows being popular or more popular in Bulgaria or somewhere where they were shown on telly.
Benny Hill was hugely popular.
Yeah, and it became like a thing. Like, look, Mr. Bean is so popular in China. They've actually made a new
Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean deserves to be popular everywhere. Honestly,
there's a new Mr. Bean movie.
Live action Mr. Bean is fucking awesome.
Is it really?
So fucking funny. Hell yeah, it is.
Come on, man.
It's so good.
Listen, in 2017, a Chinese movie came out called Top Funny Comedian, the movie. Okay, I'm not joking. Rowan Atkinson went over there to be in it. Okay, it never got a release out of China, and it got completely ignored. It's got an IMDb rating of 2.6, but it's basically just a sort of bad Mr. Bean movie with loads of Chinese comedy actors messing around. Evander Holyfield is in it.
Oh my god, man!
It's super weird.
But was it a success in China?
It's hard to tell. I don't. You know, you don't really get that kind of information.
Yeah.
But they do love Mr. Bean, and it looked like a fairly decently budgeted thing.
I think the live action Mr. Bean is great. Honestly, like if it's on, I'll
the
watch
live action Mr. Bean is classic.
It's so funny.
And it's global though. That's the thing. They don't need to dub it, or at least they only need to dub like the bit where Angus Deaton kind of complains at him or something in church. But some of it is so English. And,
some of it is just like painfully British, isn't it? But it's like I don't know. It translates, I guess, because there's not there's just not a whole lot of dialogue in the show, right? So it's all a lot of things are just implied sort of thing, and I guess that sort of breaks down those barriers. But it's super funny, but it's also funny to see the places that he goes and stuff of the time, right? Because it's all very like early 90s, right? So it's everything just looks like shit, and everybody just dresses like shit, and like it's very funny.
It's very of its time.
Yeah,
like,
it is very much of its time.
He's doing like the exams on these little desks in this very sort of English strange school, I remember. And he's got, the swimming pool looks very shitty.
The pool looks like shit. Yeah, like everything just looks like fucking shit.
Shopping. They're all watching TV on these giant TVs.
His fucking flat looks like shit. You remember that one where he's got? You know that one? I think it's like a New Year's party where he invites his like work colleagues over. That's so fucking depressing, man. It's so shit, but it's so funny at the same time.
I go to the fun fair, I think, and there's a couple of other ones that they just look like shit. But there weren't that many. You know, there were only 15
one thing
or something.
That I don't find you get as much on North American TV, because like I feel like a lot of the shows that I watched as a kid in North America, a lot of the scenes and the settings were kind of like idealistic, right? Like the houses all looked bigger, nicer, you know what I mean? Like you didn't really have, I'm sure there was some shows, but I can't remember like off the top of my head. But in Britain, there are a lot of shows which emphasize like how shit things are. You know what I mean? Like Rising Damp and like, you know, shows like that where it's just like, it's just kind of unapologetically
like the 70s was shit. Britain was in a really bad state.
Yeah.
Everything was broken. Things weren't working. We was really run down. I mean, I remember coming here in the late 70s and in the early 80s before I moved here and thinking, what a dump. Like genuinely, it was really very run down and crap. And then we've changed a lot. We should be you know pleased with something. Certainly, the Elizabeth line is a prime example of what we can actually fucking do.
There you go. When people put their minds to it,
we were in a bad way, man.
Yeah,
some of the Elizabeth line stuff I was watching is mental, because the fucking Underneath London is just this fucking spaghetti nightmare of 500 years of civilization.
It's amazing. It's 500. Try 2000.
Well, it's just such a mess that some of these lines they were digging, they had like half a meter of clearance between.
It was crazy.
Between some other thing, and you know, this thing's like this giant fucking tunnel, and they have to like snake their way through.
So I saw that about the very small amount of clearance. I think it's the Northern Line. I think it goes over the Northern Line at some point on the Elizabeth line, and it is a tiny amount of clearance. And I'm thinking they must have tunneled that so slowly, because you'd be so worried about collapsing the tunnel beneath you.
Absolutely.
They must have just been drilling like with a little hand drill. Slowly, like trying to escape from a bloody POW camp. It was like a great escape. They're all going on their bellies on little pulleys to get the dirt out and dropping it out of their pockets, because Christ, that's close.
Listen, I'm surprised we don't have more like tough collapses and stuff, really, judging by how many there are. God, Sibs.
Slightly off topic, but relating to holes. I don't know what is going on YouTube, but like I'm getting served up videos, and it's all like really clickbaity shit. It's like, scientists can't believe what they found in this hole, like and you know, like, it's like you know, the thumbnail is like a picture of like an entire continent with a big hole in it or something, but like these videos have fucking millions of views. Like, who's watching this shit?
Let me ask you a question. Did you click it at any point?
I didn't. No.
Have you ever clicked one of them?
Never. I've never once clicked one.
You must have clicked something related to it.
No, I did. I never did, because I just think like, this just got to be some sort of joke or something that like I can't be bothered with. Like,
I wonder if it even knows if you've moused over it. And it's continually trying to tease
me, and I've
you.
never clicked one. I've never once clicked one.
I think it probably like saw you linger over it and just be like confused.
We've almost got him.
One thing that does happen though, because this is on my tablet, and the tablet does get passed around a little bit. Oh. So especially if the baby gets her hands on the tablet,
you go. It's the kids watching it.
It's like forbidden fruit, right? If she gets it, you're not getting it away from her until she falls asleep, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if she's pressing buttons and it's for some reason unlocked, she could have just been like clicking on stuff.
My kids occasionally come to me with facts, and I'm like, no, love, that's bollocks. Like you've seen a video.
Oh, wow.
That's bollocks. And they were like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. I said, anytime you hear this stuff, go and look it up. Seriously, Wikipedia is a decent
bet. But that's
bet.
the thing. They did look it up. They looked it up on YouTube, and
Yeah, no,
YouTube
but
lied to them.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like you can't trust you, but they know. They both know that by now.
Yeah,
Do you know what actually woke them up to it? Was all those life hacks videos.
Oh yeah.
Where they tried to do some of them. They realized it didn't work. They were like, this is a load of bollocks, and they do not trust YouTube anymore. So I think if you want to prove to people that YouTube is a load of bollocks...
So fucking life hacks, man, are so fucking bad,
Yeah.
some of them. Like, it's like, you know, you can use lolly sticks and fucking, I don't know, super glue to make, like, a fucking new bike wheel or something.
It's like fucking
what?
ridiculous.
But
they do try.
It's like a society of MacGyvers. Like what are you just gonna get like some?
But
some
the MacGyver
fucking...
that doesn't escape, just the shit MacGyver who. MacGyver, how are we gonna get out of this
let's
one?
see you get out of this one, MacGyver. Oh fuck! There's no toothpicks in here. I'm dead.
PVA glue and a couple of toilet rolls. MacGyver was still stuck. Yeah, it didn't work.
I'm dead.
The lock is just stuffed with glued toilet roll now.
They go to empty out the tank. Oh yeah, it looks like we finally got him. He's dead. And there's just like little fucking, like a little thimble comes out and like
Some paper
one
clips.
cotton swab, like a little piece of
It's like he was
string.
trying to build some kind of escape kit, but I don't know how he could build it with these stupid items. They don't even a paper cup, an old toilet roll. Come on, MacGyver.
What was he fucking thinking in here?
He was following this life hack guide on YouTube.
He fucking dies like in a Bacta tank. He just like, what was he hoping to achieve with this contraption?
He tried to rewire it with a shoelace. This doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your phone or computer. I have it installed this week. In fact, Honey popped up and saved me £10 when I was buying something online. So you can use Honey. It's easy to find. Manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past.
You don't have to worry about losing your coupon book.
That's right, Sips. You don't have to bring your coupon book around with you. People
But I've had my coupon book.
I was trying to get it out of him.
I've had it
worked.
surgically attached to my arm, so I never lose it. Are you saying that this was a waste of time, young man?
I'm afraid so. This is
Well,
your digital
curse it.
version of that.
My life is over.
It just keeps. Whenever I used to buy stuff online, I would always try. If there was a little discount code box, I would always try and find one. But you don't have to do that any longer.
My digital coupon
My
book.
digital
Exactly.
coupon.
Work with my Google glasses. I need the RoboCop vision for my
I
coupons.
want an overlay of every coupon available. A coupon, a heads-up display of every coupon available to you.
It works on desktop, and you can get it on your iPhone on Safari.
iPhone, that's what I'm talking about. My iPhone.
So you can get Honey for free. Joinhoney.com/Triforce. That's joinhoney.com/Triforce. You'll be saving yourself some money online when you buy stuff. So it's a tip. It's a recommendation. It's a good one.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
thank you. On with the show.
Oh god, they rebooted MacGyver a couple of
I
times.
think
Did
they
they not?
tried. I think
Oh,
what they're
right.
forgetting is that a lot of that old TV that was so popular in the 80s, the A-Team, Knight Rider, was shit.
Yeah.
It was shit. And if you watch it again, you're like, wow, this sucks. Like, this is really bad. And they try to reboot it with the core idea, and the core idea is okay, but you can't deviate too far, or people that get nostalgic for the A-Team and shit like that, and Airwolf and all of these, watch the originals and think this is wank. The theme music for all those shows was banging, but that was it. That was it. The show sucked. Trust me. I watched them. They were shit at the time. They're shit now. So if you do a reboot, you can't stray too far from the original concept, or if people are going to say, this isn't a reboot. You just slapped the name Knight Rider on something, and it's actually good. But no, it's going to be pretty much the same shit. But with a
Apparently,
different actor.
on this topic, apparently the new Top Gun movie was pretty good.
Yeah,
People-
I really want to see it.
People are rating it, saying that it's not as bad as
Yeah.
they thought it would be.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
think
know if
people
that was
saying
just
it's
like
just a very accomplished Hollywood movie. It's like it's just done the formula very, very well, which is obviously
It looks
fine.
great. I
You
mean,
know?
the
That's fine,
flight
yeah.
scenes really look exceptionally good.
weren't most of the flight scenes filmed in Britain?
I don't know. Maybe.
God
And
knows.
apparently they spent a shit ton of money hiring out these jets or whatever for these scenes, and Tom Cruise was not allowed to actually fly one ever.
I mean, he would want to.
They
He would
would
want to
not
be
let
in
him.
there, but they were like,
Yeah.
"No, Mr. Cruise, you will bankrupt the company if something goes wrong." I guess, but yeah,
That's
yeah, it does look pretty poggers.
I think that's why he was over here for so long. You know, he was over here for quite some time, and
I wonder
maybe
what he
he's
does.
fucked off back home now. I'm not sure.
What do you think he does when he's off? Does he just wander around? I bet he loves
Yeah, he
it.
does. He just went to like Formula One, and he just showed up to everything, right? Like, I think he showed up to some premiere that wasn't Top Gun, and I think he put his arm around like Kate Middleton's shoulder or something, which was like a huge breach in
Deport
protocol.
the man. Get him out.
And I think LeBron James has done the same recently as well. He touched Kate Middleton, which is a big no-no.
These Americans coming over here touching our future queens. This
You can't touch her.
Oh,
you're not allowed.
Did I talk to you guys about this last week? I fucking am so old now I forget. I had a dream about LeBron,
Right?
Where he's actually two people. Did I talk to you about this?
No.
What, to like one person is LeBron and one person is James, or
No.
one person is Le and one person is Bron?
No. So they combined their names of like Leon and Bronson, and they realized that they were both really good at basketball. They were twins. They'd recently moved from another town. This was like one of those weird lucid dreams where I was half awake, half asleep. I was just kind of making it up in my head as I went along. And basically, they concealed. I was in the dream. This was the biggest sports scoop of all time. I mean, can you imagine if you open the newspaper or you looked at a news site, LeBron James actually two people? Like you'd be like,
my
what?
God.
And the way he's maintained his career is that one twin plays on one night, the other one plays on the other night. And that way he's always fresh. He's always ready to play. And they're like, wow, you can't believe the number of minutes
Man,
LeBron
you had
puts
a
in.
full elaborate dream about this?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then as this was happening, my brain is adding details because I'm like I do this sometimes when I'm not awake and not asleep. I think it's lucid dreaming is what they call it, where you kind of, your brain is like telling a story while you're sort of in and out of consciousness and you're adding details. So your conscious brain is fleshing it out and your subconscious brain is like throwing up weirdo ideas you have to accommodate. That's how, I can't explain it better than that.
Man, my brain, like recently, my brain is just all about like when I'm just about to go to sleep, I'm thinking about how to do like optimal layouts for coal mines and processing and shit like that. Like that's all I think about now.
Well, that's
nowadays.
your USSR game right there.
Well, and before that, Satisfactory as well.
Right.
I was doing a lot of the same, so my
Knocks
mind
me
has
out
been very
thinking about that
occupied.
stuff.
Yeah.
When you said the twins thing, I thought you meant that one of them was like really good at shooting, and one of them was really good at like
No,
they're
both really good.
throws.
They're both really
But
good.
I thought they blended into one.
No, they take turns playing.
Right.
And if one of them is injured, like he conceals the injury because obviously they want to get the other one in because there's like appearance fees and stuff like that. They get paid every time they play. So the other one recuperates in private, and the other one just has to come out there and play every night for a change, right? So they don't do the swapsies while the other one recuperates.
Oh my God.
And
what if one was like the party one and started getting a bit fat?
Yeah.
And the other one was like the
But they stay on top of each other. It's like, come on, man. And they practice just the two of them. So that's how they do their training because, the other one. And the thing is, if you go into training, they're like, this is the new moves. This is the new set play we're going to do or whatever. The other one comes home and says to the other one, right, here's what happened at training today. Let me run you through
should
it.
pitch this to Hollywood because they would fucking
It would be a great story, wouldn't it?
Based on a true story. That you thought in your dream. It's hard to like then not be not think this is real now though from now on. Do you know what I mean? Now you talked about this lucid dreams so much.
Yeah.
You're gonna start thinking.
I do. That does occasionally happen.
It's gonna get to the pub in like 5 or 10 years' time, and you're gonna tell someone, LeBron James.
He's actually two people.
You're like, where did you hear this?
Where did I hear that? That's a good question.
It's like I'm sure someone. I'm sure
I don't know.
this.
It's just in the back of my brain. Yeah, no, it's dangerous.
This is how fucking like conspiracy theories get started as well, isn't it?
Oh God, what if this
shit.
becomes a new one? Like I was thinking, the way you could explain his dips in form is that's when one brother's injured and the other one is having to play all the games and he's not used to it. And so you'll
one
see
brother could just be better, and so like the other brother does
so
like the
could
less
be it.
important matches, you
right?
know?
So you wouldn't notice, unless it was a long period. We're like, wow, LeBron's shooting is really off this month. It's actually because he's recovering from a sprained ankle. You know, Leon is recovering from a sprained ankle. Bronson, meanwhile, is having to carry the weight of all of these games, and they're not used to playing game after game after game. They're used to having a day off.
How do they deal with the personal? I mean, that's the whole other thing, isn't it? You've got the other. They've both got their own wives.
No one can know.
Share a wife.
No one can know.
Share a wife.
Yes, they are completely entwined.
But which kid is which one of theirs?
They made sure that they never revealed that, and a DNA test wouldn't reveal it anyway because they're twins.
Oh, you're right. Oh shit! They can't even find out which kid is.
So they just
this writes itself.
Yeah, I know. It literally writes itself.
Nice.
Any Hollywood producers out there want to get in touch? I copyright this. This is copyright Pyrion Flax 2022.
That's a strong copyright. That's a good. That's a good one to slap the copyright on.
That's
for sure.
a copyright.
What you could do is you could reveal later that one of them had like a genetic infertility, right? You could find out later that one of them was a way to tell. Oh, and that could lead to them breaking, fracturing.
The obvious downfall is that one of them starts partying and the other one is taking it seriously, and he's like, "Come on, man! Like you can't do this." Or one of them gets a fucking face tattoo without, he gets drunk and gets a face tattoo, and he's like, "Now I've got to get a face tattoo, otherwise the jig is up." So like whatever, one of them is like pushing it, getting an eyebrow ring, a nose ring, face tattoo, becoming all Dennis Rodman, and the other one's having to do this just to keep up. So I thought that was quite, there's all kinds of ways you could fuck with it.
Who do you get to do the face tattoo? You'd have to have people would have to know, right? And they'd be like blackmailing you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to get the other twin to do the face tattoo and try to make it as good.
Oh my God. And someone would threaten to like fucking reveal him. So he'd have to like keep them quiet. He'd have to like buy a gun and start thinking about killing them and like talking about it seriously.
This is just like a self-writing anime. You could have thousands of episodes.
He's got an alibi,
yeah,
right?
He can always have an alibi,
and
so
he'll never get in trouble.
And he was like, it can't have been. They said it was LeBron James, but it can't have been. LeBron James was playing against the Cavaliers. He's literally, we saw him. He's on television. His lawyer's like, this is ridiculous. And then they'd be like, we have CCTV footage of LeBron James.
Cavaliers is Cleveland. Is it Cleveland?
Sure. I think he plays for them, doesn't he?
Are they still the Cavaliers? What a name in 2022, eh? Like,
I don't know if he even plays for them. I'm sorry, basketball fans. I watch a bit of it, but I don't really know.
No, he plays for the Lakers, right?
I thought he did. I don't think he does anymore. I thought he played for...
Don't they get drafted? How does it work? I don't know.
He plays for the Lakers. He does play for the Lakers.
Is it draft or how does it work?
So you get drafted like in most American sports. They have the draft. They draft these kids out of high school and college, and then the team gets them.
A lot of American sports work like this. There's kind of like a minor league, but like that is below like what would be considered the major league. So like the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and NFL football are kind of like the major pro leagues, and then below that you've got like minor leagues and college leagues, and that's where all of the drafting comes from.
No, the minor leagues in baseball at least is definitely not where the drafting comes from. Those minor league teams are owned by the major league teams. They're their farm teams.
Yes.
So they'll have AAA, AA, single A, and then rookie teams and stuff.
But their prospects usually come up through.
Yeah, they
there.
stick them in there.
Yes.
Like, so they get them out of high school and college, and they stick them in the U team. And then oddly enough, if you think about football, you start playing football at a young age, just like you start playing baseball. But there are plenty of footballers that get their Premier League debut at like 16, 17, 18. In baseball, it's not uncommon to be 24, 25 before you step up to the bigs.
Yeah, I think it takes I think it takes a little bit longer. I'm trying to think if anybody is really that young joining. I think the NBA is the most likely, but even then, normally they're kind of like already in their 20s because they're usually drafted out of college, right?
I love how America has like exported this system to like other countries as well. So the Indian Premier League for cricket, what they have a very similar system where they even have like these specific teams they're named. They sound like cigarettes though, because they're called the Rajasthan Royals, right? Yeah. The Chennai Super Kings.
These really do sound like brands of cigarette. That's true.
The Lucknow Super Giants, the Gujarat Titans.
That's a good name.
And they've all got these very American Sunrisers Hyderabad.
They should just be called the Gujarats. And there's just like the Skaven themed team.
The Kolkata Knight Riders.
The Calcutta gonna cut you. The Calcutta gonna cut you. They got a big knife.
Oh yeah, like you should have been in charge of this. So they all they have these great logos and like these kind of like very. I'm sure they do like halftime shows and mascots and the whole thing.
It's huge in India though with cricket, isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely massive.
But it's such an American idea, like almost like carbon copy to a completely different sport. Yeah. That is like, but obviously that format just really just works so well.
I think it works in terms of getting very rich people to buy into it. Because if you're going to launch a new league, you're basically looking for people that are like worth $500 million to $1 billion or more, or huge businesses to say, yes, we want to buy this slot. It's going to cost a fortune, but once we got the team, we can make all the money. And then if it doesn't work out, someone else buys the slot and moves it to another town, right? So it's designed to make sure that rich people can buy a team, guarantee it's going to be in the top league. Bam, we've got a slot and we can pump all these guys in and make a fortune from it. Like that's the reason it works, I think. I don't know if it works for fans, because if you look at Seattle, at least, the Seattle Sonics, the team left, and Key Arena, which used to be their arena, was abandoned basically for a long time.
Yeah. Well, this happens in with North American teams. They'll get bought out and sometimes relocated. Like so, you'll have like I'm just trying to think of examples of this, but it does happen.
There's
like,
tons. There's
like
tons.
I think the Dallas Stars, the hockey team. I don't even know if they're the Dallas Stars anymore, but they used to be the Minnesota North Stars. So it was a team from Minnesota.
That's a long way to go.
And it was bought. The franchise was bought out, and the new owner of the franchise just decided I don't want anything to do with Minnesota. We're going to rebrand, and
we're moving to Dallas.
I'm from Dallas, so the team is coming here instead, and then and that's it. Like, and it happens not super often, but it can happen.
They won the Stanley Cup in 1998.
There you go.
Well, 99. Sorry, 1999.
The Dallas Stars. I don't know if they're still the Dallas Stars. I haven't kept up with any hockey or anything. I've been watching some basketball stuff recently though, because I watched that Winning Time, and then off the back of watching that, we had like basketball fever. So we watched The Last Dance. I've seen it before, but I watched the whole thing again.
It's really good.
My wife saw it for the first time, but it was interesting because she's never watched any NBA basketball. And I mean, NBA basketball is popular worldwide now, but in the 90s, not so much so. And she only knew about Michael Jordan because of his clothing sponsorships, like shoes and stuff, you know.
Well, just massively famous too.
He
like,
was massively famous, but like she never
integrate. It's osmosis through society.
Sure,
people Wayne Gretzky, you know, people have heard of this guy because he's famous.
She didn't really appreciate that, like how good he was, you know, like
he was
at basketball.
Yeah.
She'd never seen, you know, the Bulls play or anything. She just knew that this was this, like, you know, mega star from America who had his own shoes and stuff, and he was just very well known for basketball. But I think she was surprised. It's a really interesting story, but yeah, it was nuts. It's good. So it was a good repeat watch. I enjoyed it again. It's a great series, long but good.
Oh man, well, I have to watch some of these things.
Have you not seen The Last Dance?
No, I haven't.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Like, Mrs. F doesn't care about basketball at all, and she really enjoys it. It's just fascinating.
You don't need to be into basketball at all. It's just
I guess I'm always put off by sports stuff. You know, I just think it just doesn't. You know, I get the holes. What is this giant hole? Recommendations instead of
yeah.
Well, I mean, I was watching that F1 Drive to Survive thing. I started watching that because a load of people have been saying that's really good and has got them into Formula One.
Is it good?
And it's really good. I watched the first episode, I watched the second episode, and I'm still interested. I then got distracted watching other things, but it's really good because it's all the behind the scenes stuff. One of the worst thing that's happened in the first episode, I think it was, is this they've got a new pit crew or some new people on this team, and they do a pit stop for the car. They put new tires on, and the car goes and is like, no power, guys, and the car basically just grinds to a halt. And they're like, fuck, we didn't put the front left tire wasn't on properly. And they're like, all right, well, we'll do it right next time. The other car for the team comes in, and they do the exact same thing. Put the front left tire on wrong. So they were in a great position. This was a great position for the team. They were going to do really well, and they ended up with 2 no finishes. It was just, and the guy, like you can see the boss talking to the guy afterwards. And I was just thinking, if that was me, I'd fucking fire this guy. Like, I'm sorry, you have one job as the tire guy. You put the fucking tire on the car. How could you trust him next time? You can't be. People would be wondering, why did this guy fail twice to do his one job, put tire on car? and you're gonna trust him a third time? Come on. Anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. It's one of those ones I'm probably the same as Lewis with The Last Dance. Like I'm not into Formula One, and
Me neither,
I can't.
But it's really good.
I just can't motivate myself to watch it, but I'm sure it is very interesting. And
some of these stories
good.
are pretty crazy, honestly. Like you can't. Like I have watched a couple of documentaries that it blows your mind how either stupid or like weird some of the people live in these. What fame does to you, right? Like. It does kind of. I've started to watch The Boys season 3 on.
I haven't watched
The Boys.
Can recommend, honestly. It wasn't taken by season 2, but season 3 has been good so far.
Yeah. I still haven't watched. I still haven't watched season 1. Actually, I need to. It's one.
So season
one
one's
that I haven't
good.
watched.
Season 1's really good.
Yeah. He's the best villain, Homelander.
He's really good.
So good. He's such a. The thing is, he's so different to his actor, right? His actor is like, I guess. Wants to be as far away from Homelander as possible because Homelander is the fucking new Joffrey, isn't he? He's like the
he's a
the
real
worst
asshole
person you could ever imagine, and relishes it. And it is they talk about it a little bit in a sense, like the problem with superheroes is that they're like toddlers. They're out of control. They just do whatever they want.
Yeah,
they don't have any
nothing you can do about them.
They don't have any filters. They kind of just if they feel like they can get away with it, they just do. And they almost imply that it's kind of inevitable that people who have everything get weird.
But even worse than that is they are provably, literally better than other people. Like they're invulnerable to damage. They can fly, they can shoot lasers out of their eyes. They're incredibly strong. You can't harm them. So that gets into their head that they are better, and everyone's around them telling them they're a hero and how great they are. So their egos are out of control.
Yeah.
And then they see people as less than them. They dehumanize everybody. It's like they just don't give a shit about people. They become completely self-centered and just hedonistic assholes. The comics are so much worse than whatever the TV show does.
Is it actually based on a comic? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I think it's Garth Ennis, right? The guy that did. Is it the guy that did Preacher?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway,
it's Garth Ennis.
It's worth a watch.
So
I'm enjoying it.
As far as I know, Garth Ennis also did Preacher.
Oh, the writer of the original...
he did Preacher and he did The Boys, and he's done a bunch of stuff as well. I think he might have done quite a bit of stuff for 2000 AD, but I apologize if I'm wrong about that. His stuff is nuts, and there's way more sex and stuff like that in the and genuine gore in the comics that you literally couldn't put in a TV show because it's just so fucking ridiculous. But apparently with Preacher, Mrs. F watched the whole thing, and I was like, they didn't do this, did they? She was like, yeah. I was like, this bit wasn't in it though. And she was like, yeah, it was. I was like, what about this bit? She was like, yeah. I was like, holy shit. Like, they really did leave stuff out. I was amazed. TV nowadays, man. It's no A-Team, I'll tell you that.
No, that's for
true.
sure.
Yeah.
Just before we finish up, did you guys get a chance to try out Workers and Resources Soviet Republic?
No, I didn't.
My game recommendation.
I
from
watched
last
you play
week.
it for a bit, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if I can invest.
All right, I won't recommend anything else until you guys have both played this. It's a great game.
Well, it looks
You're gonna
like
have to
that's the end of game recommendations then.
Yeah, so no recommendation this week. I can tell you what to avoid this week though, because I know Diablo Immortal came out and a lot of people are complaining about it. So maybe that's a must miss. I don't know. It could be like a reverse recommendation.
So Simon's been playing it on his phone a lot.
Right.
He hasn't spent any money on it yet, or said he will. He's never going to spend any money. I think he's actually got sick of it. But no, I think he did play it a lot, and he said it was fine as a game. But I mean, I think he also hated Path of Exile and loves Diablo universe. So he's in a really bad place around it because he wants a good Diablo game. He loves Diablo. He's played all the other ones to death. He still plays Diablo 3 from time to time. So it's kind of sad, right? I think we can all laugh at the downfall of Blizzard and
but they have some beloved games that will never have a good sequel. Probably, if like the trend continues,
they have to continue to be innovative. And if you're gonna bring out a Diablo game in a world where Path of Exile exists, it has to be competitive. It has to have. But that's not the plan with this. The plan is to make a cash in Chinese market
it's
whale hunting
whales,
exploitation game of shit. Yeah, and I'm sure it'll do great and make millions and millions because they always fucking do. Because all these fucking shitty mobile games, lots of people out there have never played a game. Apparently, they've only got a phone.
No, and there's a lot of people out there with issues as well. It's
and
sad.
they think that this is normal. We've normalized this shitty fucking mobile wank. So yeah, it's sad, but just stay away from it, everyone. That's our top tip with the old Diablo.
It's our top, big tip of the week.
A big avoid.
Big ups to the big tip of the week. I think we didn't do big ups this episode as well.
I mentioned Mass Effect last week, and I started playing the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh yeah,
and I'm enjoying it. It's a blast. I forgot how cool that universe is and how
it's
is.
Great. The first couple of games are so fucking good. And when I saw what people saying about the third one or whatever, I was like, well, I'll just skip that. And I'll have the happy memories of one and two.
The first and second game are
so
fantastic.
Good.
They're
Mass
so
Effect 2 was phenomenal. I loved it.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2 was so awesome.
I'm having a blast shooting my way through it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying
Mass Effect 2, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because I don't give a shit. I finished Mass Effect 2. I did a full playthrough. And I immediately restarted and played through it again. It's the only game I've ever done that with.
Wow.
I just wanted to do different things and see different parts of the game, through the dialogue and shit like that. Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, I mean, also this week, the Cycle Frontier came out. It's like a Tarkov alike. And unfortunately, the reviews for it have absolutely tanked. It's a free game, so the moment I saw that, I was very suspicious.
A freemium? Is it a freemium game?
I think it's free, and you buy stuff in the game. And I was like,
oh my god, it has the same Tarkov thing where you have to spend £100 to get some butthole spaces or whatever.
Oh no,
yeah, you get backpack space, right?
It's a shame.
I caved in the end. I got the super edition of Tarkov for the big butthole space.
I got given the media edition when the game was in beta. For some reason, I think because it was made by Russians, they were into Dota, and they were like, Pyrion, do you want a copy? I was like, hell yeah. So I got the big fancy copy with the big butthole, and the traders
all
love
the mechanics around the butthole have changed now anyway, so it's not as
in what way
great. You still have to survive, right?
It's always no. Well, it's
when you stash stuff in your butthole and you die,
you still keep the stuff,
can't
but it
trade
loses.
Right?
You can't sell it on the market. It's no longer found in raid. But that's nerfed everybody. That's nothing to do with buttholes, because it still means I can take in more stuff that I then don't lose, like all my fancy meds.
The one thing people say about Path of Exile is, yes, it's free and it's not pay to win, but there is one thing that you do almost have to buy, which is the bag space. The bank slots. Because it's impossible to play the fucking game without them. And so you do end up paying, you're putting in some money for that. And
the quality of life stuff in Path of Exile is worth it, though, for sure. For a game that's free.
No, but what I'm saying is that is essential. Those bag spaces are not quality of life. They are.
But they're essential if you get into the game. I think it's not.
They're essential from pretty much if you play it for more than a couple of hours.
Right, but that's it. So you could
continue
get it, play it for a few hours, and be like,
if you don't have a loot filter as well, you're fucking done in that game. If you're picking up every goddamn
I guess
thing.
what I'm saying is it's not true. It's not true free to play. Right? You can't earn those. You have to buy them. So in a sense, you're paying. The game is Path of Exile isn't free. It's 15 quid or whatever.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because you have to buy those bank spaces.
It's worth it though. Honestly, it's a good game.
It's still, I think for 15 quid, it's still a good game. Yeah.
I guess that the idea is it's like you get people to download the full game. If you put the word demo, they're going to think it's less than the game, and they know they're being denied stuff. You give them the full game. You say, look, it's the complete game, and then they go, I will spend money on this. That's the thing.
I think it's nice that easing you into something to see if you like it or not, because it's that kind of game.
The problem is not that. The problem is that the game is still incredibly buggy. That's the thing. Well, so a lot of the bugs that were in the beta are still in the game apparently. But hey, we'll see. I probably won't play it.
I just think it's dishonest sometimes to do that. But then again, we live in a mobile game universe where you can pay to win, and it's awful. The discrepancy is mad. What my standards are very different to what the industry is willing to accept, or at least what the consumer base are willing to accept.
I usually just justify it by time, personally. I've bought stuff in the past. I've bought, cosmetic stuff in Dota when I played a lot of Dota. I've bought bits and pieces, but I always sort of think if I'm playing something that I haven't had to pay any money for it.
Yeah.
But I've sunk like 200 hours into it.
Right.
I don't feel as bad, right? I feel like
No.
whatever. Like I've had like my value out of this game. I don't mind spending like $5 or whatever.
Agreed.
But
I mean,
I've never spent more than like say $100 on a game.
You're right.
Like
well,
all
apart from
in.
Hearthstone, probably. These,
maybe Hearthstone actually. Yeah.
These games they have to exist in this world. They're competing in this world. You know, so many games just fall by the wayside or get forgotten.
But you're a part of this world.
You can't like. If you're a developer, sometimes you're forced into just doing what the successful game has done, and that just leads you down to, you know, you have to lower your standards,
moral bar
to be successful, or your own, like Path of Exile is owned by this Chinese, it's owned by Tencent, you know. It's gonna they're not gonna. I'm sure they have got their hands off largely, and they're very happy with how it's going, but certainly, you know, they were like, well, you know, we do want you to make money, and we do expect you to make money, or else you're not going to be renewed. So, you know, you better fucking, you know, do the things that make money, like all the other people. Why are you not doing these things that are standard in the industry?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Good call. Anyway. I got to drive Mrs. F somewhere.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks, everyone. Love you.
Peace.
Bye.